Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sportsbet TV with me, Paul Alster. I'm looking forward to Saturday's racing on the 9th of November here in Britain, where we've got some interesting racing. The ground drier than usual at this time of year has meant that certainly over the jumps, there's limited field sizes in some of the races. But of course, Saturday is the final day of the flat season on turf. However, over at Doncaster, where my one selection is, they're saying it's going to be on the soft side. So pretty soft ground at Townmoor, surprisingly. Everywhere else in the country seems to have escaped the rain. Well, if you're new to this service, this is a service where I'm looking for horses at decent prices, normally double figure odds, and over the 4 years and more, and those many seasons that have come and gone, I've always shown a profit. Sometimes there's been a few quiet spells. We've been having a quiet spell of late, actually, on this service. But overall, if you stick with it, we've shown a good profit. Now, last week, I gave a couple of selections. Uncle Phil, I was very happy with the Willie Mullins runner, bowling along at Ascot, jumping like a buck until he absolutely crashed through one of the fences, and that stopped him in his tracks, really. He was beaten after that. Shame. If he'd picked his hooves up, I think he might have gone close. Top of the Cotswolds, the other runner, ran well enough for a long way, but faded 2 out, which was a bit of a surprise because I thought he'd stay on well. However, for those that are members of my subscription service out in front, where I give more selections on a far more regular basis, we had a cracking day because I recommended at 20 to 1 Our Champ, who was back down to 10 to 1 and duly battled to victory over at Ascot in great style. There were also a few nice priced placed horses for us as well over the weekend at Out in Front. So if you're interested in joining us for that, then you can sign up for the service and get all the information for all the weekends racing on a regular basis, all the festivals, and very often for interesting runners that crop up here and there midweek. And you can find just how to join by clicking on the description box below this screen and following the link there. Right, let me take you to my one selection because, as I said, it's the last day of what's been, I think, a very, very good flat season on turf in Britain. And Doncaster, of course, always brings the curtain down at Townmoor. 1.5 miles is the trip of the last race on the card. It always used to be further up the card, but they've now made it the last of the meeting. And that is the November Handicap. Soft ground, 23 runners. And if you were to ask somebody to select one horse to back on Saturday, at any of the meetings, the chances are 99% of the people would avoid this 23-runner final race of the term, especially a really tough handicap. There's often a few plots going on here and there. It's notoriously difficult to win due to easy ground and due to, in no small part, a lot of the horses getting a bit tired at the end of what's been, for many of them, a long campaign. But as you know, I like a challenge. And so I've had a crack at this, and here are my thoughts on this race, because having had a truly remarkable season highlighted by those recent famous successes in the Prix de l'Arc de Triomphe and the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint, Rafe Beckett is a trainer the bookies are fearful of these days. He's running 2 in the race. He's got Valvano, the 6 to 1 favourite at the time of this recording. And that follows a very promising first foray into handicap company when he was 3rd at York last month over 10 furlongs. Now, he shapes as though this extra 2 furlongs will suit, so he is certainly one to be fearful of, having only his 5th career start, so he's very unexposed. And Rafe Beckett's other runner is the more exposed Lord Melbourne, who's won 2 of his last 3 starts at this trip, and they've got the improving apprentice Jack Doughty to take £5 off his back. Another trainer with 2 runners is Yorkshire's Ed Bethel, who runs Chillingham, who was a good second in the Autumn Cup at Newbury last time. He's a horse very well served by the forecast easy conditions. And Ed also saddles the hat-trick-seeking Minstrel Knight, who's gone up £13, very nearly a stone, for 2 recent wins over 1.75 miles at Haydock on soft ground. This is tougher, and he might just find this a step too far. I'm not convinced as well he'll be ideally served by the drop back in trip. Now, if he stays this new trip, then David O'Mara's Stress Free is one to have very much on your side. I think he's got a big chance. He ran a cracker when he was 3rd over 10 furlongs to Larfy in a hot race here last time. He was stopped in his run a number of times and had to switch out, coming home really fast. And so if he stays this crack at 12 furlongs, he's potentially got a big chance. Another one open to serious consideration if he stays the trip is George Baker's Simply Sometime. He bolted up as well on testing ground over 10 furlongs at Epsom last time. And that was after being in the doldrums for quite a little while. Now, the yard, George Baker, of course, sprung a big handicap surprise in the Stewards' Cup with Get It earlier in the season, so they're no stranger to winning good handicaps with long price runners. Master Builder for David Menissier and the recent Newbury first and second Miller Spirit and Flash Bardot are others who would be on my shortlist and making their presence felt. But my choice here in the selection to win the November Handicap 2024 is trained by Ian Williams, who has won this race 7 years ago with a horse called Saunter Boy, and I believe he's got a great chance of repeating the feat with a very classy handicapper called One for the Gutter, the mount of Richard Kingscote, who of course has been stable jockey to Sir Michael Stout, who I'm sure most of you know. Sir Michael retired after an immense career earlier this week. So it'd be interesting to see how Richard Kingscote fares in the 2025 season. But he's going to be on board One for the Gutter, who is a 5-year-old, equally effective at 1.5 miles and 1.75 miles. Last season, he won an Ascot handicap over 1.5 miles in really good style. And then later that campaign failed only narrowly to win the Mallard handicap at the St Leger Festival over 1.75 miles. This season, One for the Gutter was second in a heritage handicap at Newmarket in July. But he ran the race of his life in Europe's most competitive middle distance staying handicap, which is, of course, the Ebor handicap at York in August. He was third there to Magical Zoe. That was a marvellous run off a mark of 90, and that was on ground that's a bit faster than I think is ideal. Now, last time out, Ian Williams booked Ryan Moore to ride, and the horse ran okay, but he finished sixth at Haydock, and I've just got a feeling that Ryan Moore has gotten off the horse and said, listen, I think he's better drop back to the 1.5 miles. And I think that's why they've held out for this race. He's 20 to 1 each way generally. Sky Bet are offering the best terms out there at the moment. 7 places, 20 to 1 for One for the Gutter. I think there might be 1 or 2 firms offering 22 to 1, but they're only taking in 4 or maybe 5 places. So I think 20 to 1's acceptable for 7 places for Sky Bet's terms, and One for the Gutter is my choice. Remember, if you're looking for other selections, there are 4 already posted at Out in Front, and if you decide you don't want to take a monthly £25 membership, you can just pay a £5 to get the selections for Saturday. You have options now. The monthly membership is far and away the best deal, but it's your choice, and there's also no tie-ins, whatever you decide to do. So that's my selection here at Sportsbet. I'll be back same time next week, whatever you bet. I hope you have a really good weekend. Bye-bye for now.